The way that you react when you feel helpless can literally make the difference from being powerless and being powerful. Just remember that. What's up, little sis? My name is Rima, and you are now tuned in to the Arab and Thriving Show. One of the most pivotal moments in my life happened when I was in business school. I wanted to be part of this leadership program. It's like this executive leadership program. As part of the interview process, they have you in this group interview with other students from all across the university. It wasn't just business school students. So like the pool was a pretty competitive, large pool of people. I don't know if you've ever experienced one of these interviews before, but they basically have you do an activity together as a group, and the moderators or the judges basically are sitting and just staring at you with their notepads and watching how you work with other people. So I was in this group with like 5 other people that I'd never freaking seen before in my life, and because race matters, I'm just gonna say that it was me, a black woman, and 2 white people, 1 guy, 1 girl. It was one of those stupid things that I hate, where it's like, here's the list of all the things if you're stranded on an island. Rank these things based on what is most important. I noticed a few times when the black woman would speak, they would just kind of ignore her. So I would basically echo what she said to make sure that everyone is being heard and considered, because she had really good ideas. Then I gave like 1 idea, I think, and it was a good idea. Whatever, like we ended up ranking our thing. And then what bothered me the most is the white woman in the group kept giving credit to the white guy for the things that I said. She said, I thought his idea was really good when he said blah, blah, blah. Also, during the part where we were talking, she cut me off a few times. Now, in a normal situation, like I feel confident enough to be confrontational in a respectful way. Like, hey, I just want you to know, like, you cut me and her off a couple times. But I was scared to do that because I felt like, because the interviewers were also white and because I'm not white, I always feel like the way that I say things automatically gets misconstrued or looked at a little bit different, like as if I have an attitude or as if I'm being aggressive when I'm not. So I felt incredibly powerless, okay? I felt like shit. I can't call her out like I should be able to, even respectfully, because I think they're going to think that I'm being combative without understanding the context. But on top of that, I feel like her cutting me off several times and taking credit or giving someone else credit for my ideas is gonna hurt me in this interview for this thing that I really want. So I didn't know what to do, and I ended up not really doing anything about it. But when I got to my car that day to drive home, I literally just was like bawling my eyes out. Like I just cried and cried and cried, and I couldn't understand why it bothered me so much. I'm like, this is a lot deeper than this freaking interview for this thing that is something I want, but it's not gonna make or break my life. From there, I started digging deep and wondering, like, okay, I felt powerless, I felt voiceless, I felt like there were racial dynamics going on that were really uncomfortable. Let me see like what I can do about it. I ended up getting into the thing. And as part of what they offer with that leadership program, they let you do executive coaching with their trained executive coaches. And it's like leadership coaching, helping you communicate better, become a better leader. It's kind of like therapy, but it's coaching. So I signed up for a coaching session with the intention to walk in and talk to the coach about this experience. Like I wanted to talk about what happened. I wanted to be like, I want to know how to be better in these types of situations, but I also wanted her to understand like the background of where I was coming from, because something told me that the reason I felt like that came from a place of feeling powerless as an adolescent. I went into the room with her thinking I'm just gonna start talking and telling her all my childhood trauma, and she literally basically, in not so many words, told me sit down and shut up, like I got this, and started asking me the weirdest questions, and I just was like, let me just trust the process. She asked me directly about some of the experiences that I was having. When I was in high school, my dad was my principal. He was also one of the first Muslim and Arab principals in a predominantly Arab school. A lot of my teachers were super racist, super Islamophobic. They accused him of all sorts of wild stuff. Like they literally tried to accuse him of being a terrorist and being associated with terrorists for no other reason than they just didn't like the idea of their boss being a Muslim and an Arab. We'll get into the details maybe in another video. She was like, if you had to embody, like show me with your body how you felt during those moments where I was having to like represent myself in a way that represented my dad well with a lot of my racist teachers, because I didn't want to give them an excuse to say anything bad about him or us. And I also felt like I was voiceless. I felt like I couldn't defend him. I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to add to his plate by being a burden, by causing trouble, by fighting with them, because that's what I wanted to do. And so she had me physically embody what I felt like. And I remember just curling up, okay? Like I remember getting really small and I felt so awkward. I'm like, am I doing this right? Like I don't understand what she's asking me, but that's how I felt. I felt very tense, very like as if I was in like a fetal position. Then she was like, okay, how about now? Like if your version of yourself today could go back, how would you show up? And I remember showing up in a very like taking up a lot of space, being very aggressive, being very like I wanted to be intimidating because I felt like they were intimidating me, and I felt like they were just like being abusive. And so I wanted to counteract that by being big and kind of aggressive and ready to fight. And it was at that moment that I realized that helplessness and being aggressive or defensive are literally just two sides of the same powerless coin. And I want to repeat that because I want you to think about how you show up during times of conflict, how you show up when someone is intimidating you or someone is coming at you. Are you someone that curls up and cries, or none of these things that are reactions, by the way, that I would like for you to judge yourself about. I just want you to be real. Do an audit. Be real with yourself. When you're in conflict, do you cry and feel helpless and curl up and just kind of cower? Or do you fight back and scream and yell and maybe even throw things and cuss? I just want you to know that all of the feelings involved with what would lead someone to react that way are very real feelings. You might not ever not feel those things when met with somebody coming at you, when met with somebody threatening you. You're going to feel the heat rise in your body. You're going to feel the knot in your throat. You're going to feel all these things, and that's normal. How you choose to react can literally be the difference between you owning your power and keeping it with you and maintaining it and not allowing anyone to take it away from you, or handing it out. I'm just so grateful for the lessons that I learned that day. And I'm gonna finish the story because there's something like so pivotal in what happens next in that room. I want you to really understand that the way you choose to react based on the feelings that you have that are very normal, you're like one reaction away from powerlessness or keeping and maintaining your power. So what happens next is just so pivotal to understanding how to maintain your power. I've never been the same. Like I literally walked out of that room a brand new person after asking me to embody, my younger self, the one that was in the fetal position, or the self that I wanted to embody, or I thought I wanted to embody, which really was just this aggressive, defensive version of me because I thought that that's what I needed to be like to be powerful. She asked me to think of an inanimate object that would represent the power that I wanted to feel or the energy that I wanted to feel. So for some reason, like I was like, that's so awkward and weird. Like what object do I want to be like? But for whatever reason, the first thing that came to me was this image of a planet. For whatever reason, it was like purple. It was large and it had one of those rings around it, kind of like how we see Saturn. And it was just so majestic. I'm pretty sure actually, like in color psychology, I think the color purple represents power. And I don't think I knew that, or maybe I knew that subconsciously. Purple color psychology. We're looking it up on our phone. Wealth, extravagance, wisdom, dignity. Dignity is like my favorite freaking word. That's crazy. That's like the first thing that comes up. That is so powerful because truly and honestly, the thing that traumatized me most from the experiences that I had, experiences that as Arabs we continue to have on a global level, it's just not dignifying. People are trying to take away our dignity, or in my case, people were trying to take away my dignity or my dad's dignity, and it felt so disempowering. So anyway, back to the pretty purple planet. It was purple and big and majestic and beautiful and just so powerful. She asked me to describe it, and she asked why do I think that that's the image that came to my mind? What is it about this planet that I want to be more like? This was all just a stream of consciousness flowing from me. I'm like, it is so silent in its power, but nobody can deny how powerful it is. Like if you see a ginormous freaking planet just floating in the air and just turning on its axis and rotating and whatever, doing what it's supposed to be doing, minding its own business, it's in alignment, it's exactly where it's supposed to be, doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, and it's part of something so much greater, but at the same time, it in itself is so great. Like think of how beautiful that is. And nobody on this planet, LOL, pun intended, can question how powerful it is. And it doesn't need anyone to question how powerful it is. And even if people try to question how powerful it is, nothing takes away from how beautiful and majestic it is. I even like shocked myself with that explanation, because I'm like, dang, she gave me like 2 seconds to think of this. And that's truly like, it's one of those examples where it's like there was something internal that I was trying to express there. There was something subconscious that I really wanted to express. And it truly, truly gave me the gift of perspective in that being aggressive, being loud, yelling, screaming, fighting, all of these things are warranted, but they are so not powerful. And I don't say that to judge you. Like I totally get it. I have just as much fight in me, if not more, than the next person. I have moments where I look back on arguments that I've had, or moments where I felt like I was being taken advantage of, and I want to go back and scream at that person. But what makes me feel so relieved is that I shouldn't ever judge myself, number one, for how I did or didn't react when feeling helpless. But screaming was just as powerless as crying and maybe even like succumbing to the moment. That's what I want you to think about. I want to ask you, when you're triggered, when you fight with a significant other or a sibling even, how do you react? Like, I want to bring you back to that thought. One thing about me, I don't ever yell. And I think this is part of that intuition of knowing kind of in my heart that that gives away your power. I don't ever raise my voice. I've had arguments with friends where things got heated. And as soon as things escalate past a certain level where people are like yelling or getting too aggressive, even in high school, like, let's talk about this later. We're clearly not going to have a productive conversation. Let's talk about it later. And in those moments, I do this with Ahmed all the time, by the way. Like, my husband, he doesn't yell, but he's a lot more passionate than me. Well, he's not more passionate than me. We're both very passionate. He is more emotional in the way that he expresses himself. So he'll get like visibly upset when we're having like some sort of disagreement or something is getting to him. We've established this rule with each other called take 5. And take 5 is just a way for us to literally take 5, where we can just remove ourselves from that feeling and really react from a place of intention and not just from a place of helplessness or anger. What we do in those moments is we don't give our power away. Yes, even with your spouse, like anyone. You should never give your power away. You should never take someone else's power away. That is really, really, really what she helped me understand through that pretty purple planet, is like this beautiful, powerful, majestic thing, and nobody can take its power away. And ever since then, that's what I've wanted to embody. I've wanted to approach my relationships like that. And it's funny, one of the most popular series on my TikTok page is the Power Plays series. And that's where it came from. It came from me wanting to equip people with ways to react that keeps them in their dignity, still sets a boundary. You still stand up for yourself, absolutely. Like, being a pretty purple planet, tongue twister, being a pretty purple planet doesn't mean you take stuff from people. It just means you don't grace people with the satisfaction of feeling like they got to you if they're trying to intimidate you. And so Power Plays really came from a place of me wanting to equip my younger self. And I do that through equipping other people. Like, that's how I healed my inner child, to be honest, is giving advice like this of like, here is how to respond. Absolutely, it's okay to feel angry. Here's how to respond in a way that you can feel proud of looking back, because you don't feel like you stepped out of your power. You don't feel like someone got the best of you, but you also don't feel like you came out of character for that person. Because if someone's trying to hurt you, they don't deserve you coming out of character for them. Like, don't give them that. And I don't know, there's a little bit of pride and ego sprinkled in some of these things, and that's just where I'm at. Like, I really do operate first and foremost from a place of dignity. But yeah, if someone's trying to hurt me and intimidate me, I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of knowing that they got to me. Like, absolutely not. This applies to the way you react at work if you have a toxic boss or a toxic coworker. This applies to the way you react in even, the most romantic and amazing of relationships. Like, it's very important to hold your power. That's just a healthier relationship for both people, with people in your family, just any type of relationship that you have, even between you and yourself. Like, maintaining your power and reminding yourself that you're not helpless, you're not powerless. The number one premise of being in an emotionally abusive relationship is that your abuser has convinced you that you have no power. They've convinced you that you have no identity or agency. And so I just want to encourage you, if you are in a situation like that, to seek the necessary resources, to seek people who are licensed in being able to talk talk about that, which is certainly not anyone on YouTube, unless they're like licensed and they have a YouTube channel. So I just wanted to put that out there, remembering that if it was yours to give away, then it's absolutely yours to take back and maintain. That's the main message here. Just understand that powerlessness is quiet and sometimes powerlessness is loud. Just because someone is the loudest, most aggressive, intimidating person in the room does not mean that they are powerful. I just don't want you to look at how people show up as a sign of their power or lack thereof. It is always about how you feel. It's always about what is the stature, what is the energy that is going to make you feel powerful. For me, it was this pretty purple planet. For you, it might be something else. And honestly, if you did that as an activity, try to think about that. Sometimes you need to attach yourself to something else that doesn't feel so personal to you. Like trying to say, this is what I want my future self to look like is awesome. I think sometimes it's a little too personal that you can't see beyond your own character. But when you try to attach yourself to something else, whether it's an animal or an inanimate object, you're able to look at it more objectively and learn from those characteristics and understand what it is about that thing that you're craving and admiring. And I just totally recommend that activity. And I would love for you to actually, if you do it, comment below and let me know what are some of the things that spoke to you. What are some of the characteristics that you would like to embody? I love you so much. Please maintain your power. Do not let anyone ever think that they could take that from you. And let me know if there are videos like this that you want me to do more of, or topics kind of in this area. I love you so much, and stay powerful, my loves.